Okay, good evening. I think we can start now so as not to waste our time. One more time, if you can hear me clearly or if I'm not loud enough, just let me know. But if you can hear me clearly, just send a reaction so that I will know. Then we can proceed. Okay, all right. Um, Starting out today, we are in our third day, the third class. Um, we are continuing from our last lesson. We started with the introduction to Python programming language. The slide has been sent, explanation has been done, the video is available. If you want to get it, it's on the YouTube page. I'll share the link shortly. A link has been sent in the comment section. For those of us that have not joined the group chat, you can join the Google Classroom. You're going to have access to the slides and the codes that will be sent, that will be dropped is there. Okay, now let's proceed. So yesterday we started off with um, introduction to basic Python syntax, where we had lesson outline. Our lesson outline, we looked at variables, data types. Today we're going to look at simple input outputs and Python operators. But before we go to what we have today, I'm going to recap a bit of what we did yesterday and state our objective for today. So by the end of today's class, we should have been able to understand how to use variables and how to write simple codes and manipulate these variables and data types, how to write some inputs, outputs, operations, and so on and so forth, and how to use the Python operators so we can proceed. Now, I'll be using my Visual Studio Code so I can zoom out so we can see. You can see use the Python idle environment. Still the same thing, open your idle, click on new file and save your code and run it. So the same process we used yesterday is the same, but I'll be using my Visual Studio Code for today's class so I can zoom. Or perhaps I'll use my Sublime Text so I can zoom. So okay, I'm opening my Sublime Text. It's open. It's open. Yeah, so this is my Sublime Text. Please, if you can see my screen, just let me know or indicate with a reaction. Okay, let's continue. So we started off yesterday with variables and data types. I said that variables are like containers that store data. So the syntax of the way you declare variable in Python is the variable name, the assignment operator, and the data type you're storing in that variable, right? So a single variable would now be, say, variable one or variable equal to, so this is the assignment operator, this here is the assignment operator, and then what comes next is the data type. So I want to store a number inside, I can decide to do 23, or I want to store the value, I can decide to type my name, right? So this is how you declare variables in Python. We demonstrated that yesterday and it worked. Some of the codes are in the classroom too. That's variable. And we stated some rules in naming variables. You name variables by not using the Python keywords. There are keywords in Python. Those keywords, somebody asked for them and I sent the file in the classroom is there. I also sent it on the group chat. So if you're not on the group chat, the link to the Google Classroom is on the comment section. So click the link and follow along. The slide is also there. Then some of the rules, you don't use the Python existing keywords. You don't use spaces to separate variable names like this. It's wrong. It's best to use underscore. This is best practice to use underscore. Now you don't name variable names by starting with numbers to give you an error. And it's not good to use capital letter or uppercase for naming variables. I can't do this. So those are the rules in naming variables. And then we proceeded to Python data types. Like every other programming language, uh, Python also has these data types: the integer, the floats, strings, lists, tuple, dictionary, byte array, complex numbers, and so on and so forth. Sets, dictionaries, null, boolean, true and false. These are all the data types we mentioned. They are also in the slide. You can read it up. I'm just trying to recap what we did yesterday. So yesterday we ended up writing a simple program that allows our user to send in inputs where the user requests an input. When the user inputs the value, it prints the result. We looked at something called concatenation, where we use the addition sign to join two strings or a string and a variable together. So that's what we did yesterday. So today will be more we'll do a lot more practice, right? We'll do a lot more practice. So we're going to continue today with um data types, but now it's going to be more of practice. So let's say, for example, you want to um build, so you are working in a
Excuse
company,
me.
a firm, and yes.
Okay, I can't see your screen.
Oh, you can't see it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but can you see my editor now? My editor, something like this.
No, sir. I'm not seeing it, sir.
Oh yeah, I think it has to be network from your end. But okay, is any other person not seeing my screen so that I will know if it's from my end or from your end?
I'm seeing your screen. If he's
I'm
using
I'm
phone, let
seeing
him
your
let him
screen.
zoom.
I can
Okay,
see your screen.
I'm seeing your
I'm seeing
screen.
your screen. I'm
all
seeing your
right.
screen.
I'm seeing your
Okay, so
screen.
I think
Okay,
I
let me
think
restart.
and you can leave the meeting and join again. You can join the
If
meeting
he's
again.
using phone, let him zoom it.
Okay, yeah, you can do that too. Okay, please let's proceed. We're really running out of time.
Please, can I ask a question?
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so you said you were using your visual this thing. So
No,
if we also want
I'm using Sublime
no,
Text now.
okay, sublime text. So I
Yes.
was maybe subsequently, if you can also tell us how we can do that, use sublime text or the visual environment instead of
Okay.
if we don't want to use the idle environment.
Okay, this is what I'm
Maybe
going to
do we
do.
need to download or something? If you can help
Okay.
us send it the steps to us, we can.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Thank you. I'll do that. Although I've done that before, somebody asked the question, I sent it on the group chat. Maybe you're not there, but in the course of this class, I'll demonstrate how to get those packages installed and how to use them. But if you're using the idle environment, with what I've said before, it's the same step. Just open your idle, click on file, create a new file. If you click on new file, an editor will pop up. It's in, it's in the editor you write your code, then you save. When you save, you still on the menu bar, you're going to see run. If you click on run module, your results should show in your shell in the idle environment, just like what we did yesterday. I'm just trying to use this so I can zoom, so people that can't see clearly, just like the way I'm zooming now, so people that can't see the codes clearly can see. I hope that's okay with you. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's okay.
It's fine.
All right. So I want to start with a simple demonstration following variables and data types that we've done yesterday. So now the demonstration is this. We have a simple problem. Now the problem is that somebody works in a company, right? Now the person works in a company and wants to calculate his salary. right? He wants to calculate his salary and know what he earns at the end of the month if they give him his salary and his bonus, right? So it's a simple problem, but we want to see how we can implement it by using variables and data types, right? So I'm going to start by explaining the problem statement. So the person needs to know his paycheck, his total amount, the amount he goes home with in a month, right? That's the first problem. But then in order for him to go to know what he takes at the end of the month home, he needs to know his salary and his bonus. So it means that it's the addition of his salary to his bonus that would give him his total paycheck. But now he wants to implement that with a simple Python script or a simple Python code to do that. But now the reason we are doing this is because we want to demonstrate the concept of variables and the concept of data types from the jargons, all the things we talked about yesterday, the grammar we spoke yesterday. So I want to demonstrate it. So now, following syntax format, you are going to first declare a variable. That's the first thing you do, right? Now I talked about the input statement in Python is a very important function in Python that requests user data, right? So the input statement. Now we are going to start by declaring our variables. So I'm going to start with the salary, right? Now I'm going to say salary. Now I'm going to store the salary he's going to put in the variable called salary. So remember I said you have to request the user input. So I'm going to say input, right? Now I'm going to tell him what to do. So it's going to be a string. I'll say enter, sorry, enter your salary. Yeah. So that's it. Sorry about that.
So,
Please mute your mic if you're on mute. Okay, I'll quickly save my file as a Python file so you can see the syntax highlight. So I'm going to call this class 3.py. That's the extension. This is the Python extension for. So I'll save that. When I save it, please mute your mic so that we can hear ourselves. Okay. All right. So now I've created our first variable salary. Now this variable requests the user to input the salary he takes home at the end of the month. Now we also need to know his bonus. So I'm going to create a variable called bonus and request the user to input, tell him to enter his bonus, right? Enter your bonus, right? Okay. All right. Now these are the two variables that we have declared. But then we want to understand his total paycheck. And now his total paycheck is salary plus bonus, right? So it means we are going to perform an addition, right? An addition. We're going to add the salary to his bonus. So I want to know his total paycheck. So I'm going to do paycheck, right? Will now be equal to salary plus bonus, right? Now, and then I'll print paycheck. So I'm printing paycheck because I created the variable called paycheck. Now, this is what I've done, right? I'm going to run my code. Like I said, since I'm using Sublime, I'm going to create a command prompt window. Let's quickly do that. I would cd to desktop, right? All right. Okay, so now I want to run my code. I'm going to say class 3.py. But if you're using idle, all you need to do is to click on run. If you click on run, it runs for you. Now I hit enter. Now this is what I am presented with. So it is requesting me to enter my salary. So let's assume I earn 20 naira At the end of the month, I put 20. I hit enter.
Please, if we are doing save, what is this thing we use in saving? We use dot something.
Yes, .py. That's the extension. That's the extension. So let's so class 3.py data 20. And you can see that each time I hit 20, it closes, right? Nothing happens. Let me demonstrate this in the idle environment. So for those of us that are using idle so that we can see.
Why did you skip number 3 and number 5?
No, it's just I want to format it so we can see clearly. It really doesn't matter. I just want to space it out. I don't know if you understand. It has nothing to do with my code. It's just a way
Okay, I
to
understand.
yeah, so that we can see clearly. So let me try this in the idle environment. Mm. So I'm creating a let's see. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put this code here. Salary, I've created input, enter your salary, bonus, input, enter your bonus. Then I created this called paycheck. Paycheck is now salary plus bonus. So I'm printing paycheck, right? Okay, good. Now I'm going to save this as let's put it in, let me still call it class 3.py. Okay, so I've saved it. All I have to do now is click on run module. So if I click on run module, it requests me to enter my salary, and I have say 16 naira. And then it requests me to enter my bonus. My bonus is say 10 naira. So now by default, I should get 70. It's basic mathematics. But now let's see what I'm going to get. Oops, 6010. Can somebody tell me why I had 6010? It's just a trivial question. Why didn't I get 70?
Strings.
The plus is concatenations.
They're
It's not for like
strings.
summing.
Okay, that's the correct, not entirely correct, but that's part of it. You're right. But there's something I'm missing here. Can somebody tell me that thing I'm missing?
I think your syntax, the syntax for addition is
I
not
think you did not put it in quotation marks or something.
Okay, but it's okay. I like
Something,
our
put
effort.
it in brackets. Like put it in brackets.
The addition sign.
I think the syntax is not intact. Is not the right one.
Input
Okay,
only to access strings.
okay, all right. You all made an attempt.
Put
The person that said the syntax is not right is very close to the answer. So there's something wrong with this syntax,
put the
right?
salary plus bonus in brackets or something.
Uh, but we still get the same result. Now, let me tell us why. So the reason is because of data type. So now I've done basically variable declaration, but I've not considered the kind of data I'm requesting. So remember I said we have the text data and we have the numerical data. But in this case, I'm trying to calculate two numbers. But then Python needs to understand that these values I'm entering, they are numbers. So I have to specify the data type I want. So the problem is that I didn't specify the data type that it should calculate. So that's why it just added 6010 together. So in order to do that, all I have to do is to come here in salary. I'm going to specify that I want it to be an integer, so a whole number. So I'm going to do int. It's in the slide. I talked about it yesterday. By doing int like this, and then I come to bonus and I do int integer, and I do this. Good. So when I save and run, now let's see what happens. So my new salary, I want to put something called, let's try the same values. We have 60 and we hit enter, and then I'll try 10. Now I get 70. So what it means is that this integer function I have here, this integer function I have here tells Python that, oh, he is trying to add two numbers together. So what the user is requesting is two numbers. So that's basically how variables and data types work. So I've been able to declare variable, and I've told Python that no, I want an integer. It's an integer I'm trying to send in a value, right? If it were a text, I can decide to not use, I can decide to leave it like that, or I would use str, string. I can decide to do this str, right, to show that. But now there's another way to do this, right? The other method of doing this is to specify the data type right in the variable declaration, right? So I can decide to do this. Okay, now I can decide to here now, instead of doing input enter this, I'll do this, move this one, take out bonus. Okay. All right. And then now, in order for me to get this right, all I have to do is to specify that I want an integer, right? So I'm going to come here and do int, put a bracket, right? And then double the bracket here. So remember that your parentheses must be equal on both sides. If not, you're going to get an error. I'm going to come here. I'll do int integer, rather. Put my parentheses and then close my parentheses. So now I'm going to save this code and then run it. Good. Sorry. All right.
Sorry, sir. Sorry to disturb.
Yeah.
The areas you did the addition, I did see it from my view, and even the output after
Yeah.
running it too, I didn't see it from my end. But I'm just seeing the strings, as in seeing the explanations. I'm viewing them, but that of the answer.
Are you using phone or laptop, please? I can
I'm,
answer that.
I'm using phone.
Okay, that's
Okay, now zoom to your right. Move your phone to your right. Move that thing you zoomed to your right. I had
Okay,
a
I can see
similar
now. I can
issue.
see
I
it
have
now.
to.
okay. It's because of your screen size.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So let's proceed. So we have two cases here. We're going to see if these two cases would give us the same result. There are two different styles of writing this, but we'll see if we get the same result. So let's start. So we're starting with our first code, and we're doing first salary, let's say 80, and then the bonus is 10. Okay, sorry, there's a mistake here. I didn't change this back to integer. Sorry about that. All right, let's run this again. Okay, sorry. So 80, 10. So we get 90, right? That's the first code block that's worked. Now the second code block requests something. So let's say 80 again, and let's enter 10, and then we get 90. So that's one of the importance of Python. You can get the same result by trying multiple ways, different ways. So it's very flexible. It's not so restricted like some other programming languages. If most of us have played around with other programming languages like Java, C, C++, you have to play by the rules. But in Python, you just have to be intuitive, a bit of creative to get things done. So that's one of the demonstrations of variable declaration and data type. So if I was to look at a string data type, I would specify str. If I wanted to handle boolean, I would do true or false. I would write bool, and then so depending on the data type you're working with, this is one of the simple demonstrations. One thing I did not mention is commenting. Sorry, I missed that part. So it's very important to add comments in your code. It's best practice to add comments in your code, right? So that you can read it some other time, or any other person reading your code can understand what you're doing, right? So you might have like 500 lines of code, 600 lines of code, 1,300. And after some time, you're coming back to read it and understand what's going on. Without comments, you get confused. Or somebody's code and you want to figure out, although newer tools like some newer IDEs that have this AI co-pilots, they can help us debug very well, spot issues depending on the line, the column. But in case that is not there, it's important to add comments so people can really understand your code. So they have different ways of adding comment depending on the programming language. If it's in JavaScript, you do this double forward slash, or you do this for single line comment, you do double forward slash. For multi-line comment, you do slash and asterisk. Sorry, single forward slash and asterisk rather, right? In C++, the same thing, as double single forward slash and asterisk. But in Python, you use hash. This is how you comment in Python. So I want to comment the first line, right? So I'm going to say hash. I'll say variable declaration, right? Okay. So what this means is that every other code here will be recognized as a code, as a working code, except that first line. So Python will not recognize that as a code. It's going to override it and continue working. So that's the importance of comments. So always add comments to your code. In the code I sent for yesterday's task we did, I took my time to comment all of them. So when you're reading the code, you can understand what we did. So that's a bit of it for variable declaration and data types. So we want to look at something else. Maybe I didn't talk about methods, right? So in Python, they have methods. So now these methods, they are like functions. I'm not using my slide because I'm of the assumption that you're either opening your slide with you, or you would read it later, or you must have read it. So those are the three assumptions I have because I need us to practice. So you have to see me work. So there are things called methods in Python. So methods are like functions, right? They're like functions that exist in Python that you can call and perform specific tasks. So now one of the novelties of Python is object-oriented programming, right? So it became very popular in OOP, object-oriented programming, where you're looking at self-contained objects to perform a particular task, right? So I think I'm talking too much. But the point is, methods are simple functions that exist in Python that helps us to do certain tasks. Things that would have written too much lines of code for. You just call that method and the action is done. So some of those methods are things like upper, lower, sort, append, pop. There are plenty. Now we're going to look at these methods depending on where we are at the moment. So because we are declaring variables and looking at data types, we're going to just look at the upper and lower methods. There are plenty methods. After this class, I'm going to send a list of them. You can memorize as much as possible. So for variables and data types and the little we're doing that, we're going to look at the upper method and the lower methods. So the upper method is the function that helps convert lowercase letter to uppercase letter. The lowercase method is the method that helps convert uppercase letter to lowercase letter, vice versa. Now you use methods. This is how you declare methods. So if you declared a variable called name, right? And that name is let's call the name Adam. let's say Adam, right? Okay, good. Now I want this Adam to come out as uppercase, right? So I need to print Adam. So I'm going to do print. I need to, see the result. Let's start with this one. Sorry. 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So what I just did was a way of commenting multi-line. So it's multi-line comment. I didn't mention that. So if you want to, the hash is for single line comment. The 3 quotation single quotes is for multi-line comment. So I don't want this block of code to execute. So I just want this. So now I want to print so I'm going to do print name dot upper, and then I'll call the method, right? So when I save this code and run, voila. So we have Adam in caps lock, in uppercase rather, right? So now the way it works is this: you write methods in the variable with a period sign, this period sign, then the method name, and an empty parenthesis. So here you're supposed to pass an argument. So that's why we call it a function, because generally, although we've not gotten to functions, but let me say something a bit. In functions, you have the function name, right? The function name, let's go the function name, and then you have a parenthesis. This is where you have your argument or your parameters. So because this is a function that converts to uppercase, this is how we call this method. If I was going to do for lowercase, all I have to do is to change this to lowercase. So those are 2 popular methods that exist. I'm just using this to explain to us how methods work, because I would send the list of all the methods. You're going to play around with them, use them in your code, and that's how you write these methods. So, like I said, scope for the courses for this particular day, we've looked at variables, we've looked at data types. We're now looking at operators, right? Operators. So like every other programming language out there, Python has Python operators. Now these Python operators are separated in classes. So these classes are, we have the arithmetic operators, we have the logical operators, and then we have the comparison operators, right? So the arithmetic operators are the operators you use to perform mathematical tasks like computation, addition, subtraction, division, exponents. Those are arithmetic operators. The comparison operators are operators that you use to compare 2 variables or 2 data types. It can be equality, it can be greater than or equal to, it can be not equal to, it can be less than or equal to, it can be greater than, right? That's comparison operator. Then the logical operator can be the and, can be the or, can be the not. So those are the 3 classes of operators we have. Now, based on popularity, the arithmetic operator and the comparison operator are very, very popular, except you're doing very advanced stuffs, then you'll not be looking at some very logical operators, or if there's something special you want to do, you'll not be looking at logical operators. So now, I don't want to talk too much, explain too much operators. I want us to explain by seeing how operators work, right? So we're going to look at a simple task. Now this task is this. So if you go to, let me go to our slide and open it. Let me open the slide. So I have a simple task here. Okay, so this simple task. Now this is the task. It says a loan calculator. Say have the user enter the cost of the loan, the interest rates, and the number of years for the loan. So we're going to calculate the monthly payments with the following formulas. So they've given us the formula to calculate our loan. Now they've given us our parameters. They give us M as our monthly payment, L as our loan amount, um, sorry about that. Okay. I as our interest rate. But now they're telling us that interest rate is 5%. So if you divide 5 by 5% is 5 of 100, 5 by 100. So it's going to be 0.05. Then end the number of years. So let's look at this as a real world problem. So you have a loan company that wants to that give out loans, right? Now they want to calculate the monthly payment of their customers. Or you maybe took a loan from a bank and you want to calculate your monthly payment for that loan. Now, this is how we do it. Now, this simple task is for us to demonstrate the concept of operators, how they work in Python. We are still going to do variable declaration. So I'm going to start. So like I said, we have this. We've been given the formula. So if you're with your slide, you can, on one side, open this page in the slide so that you can read the question out loud. Okay, so we're calculating our monthly payment for our loan. So let's assume the company has asked us to build a simple loan console app, right? To calculate the monthly payment for their customers, or a customer has asked us to build this for him to calculate his or her monthly payment. So they've given us the formula. Now we want to start. They told us that we are looking for the loan amount, which is M. But then they've given us parameters like L, they've given us parameters like I, they've given us parameters like N, right? I is the interest rate, N is the number of years. Let me open that question again. Yeah. N is the number of years, L is the loan amount, and M is the monthly payment. I is the interest rate. Now, looking at this question, our result is going to be M. So if you look at this, we're printing M. So that's our output, M. That's what we're looking for. So we can now start. Now, by building this, we're going to first declare variables. Now, the variables we're declaring are the information we want from the user. Those informations are the loan amount, interest rate, and numbers, a number of years. So we're going to start by declaring that variable and requesting an input. So if we're doing that, we're going to start. So let's start with our L, which is our loan amount, right? L. Like I said, I will not use capital letter. So I'm going to say loan amount. Okay, let me use. Okay, let me use L, right? Okay, L equals to. So I'm going to say, now I want an integer. So I want values, but I'm not sure what they want to put. I'm not sure if it's a whole number or not. So I'm going to use float. So I'm going to say float, because float is data type for decimal values. I'm going to say float, then input. So I'm requesting user input, and I'm telling them to enter your loan amount, right? Okay, good. Now the next thing is for me to look at the interest rate. The interest rate. So the interest rate is I. Now the interest rate already has been given as 5%. So I don't need to request them to give that input. I can just say interest rate equals to 0.05. By default, Python recognizes this as a float. Now I'm going to request the number of years. So N is equal to, so I'll now request, let's say float inputs. So I'll tell them to enter the number of years, enter the duration, right? Okay. All right. So that's it. Okay. Okay. So now we've gotten the three things we want, right? These are our variables. We want them to give us their loan amount. We already know the interest rate is 5%, and we want them to give us the number of years it has stayed. But then we're looking for our monthly payment. How much do we pay monthly, right? So which is M. But now a formula has already been given to us. Now we're going to use that formula and look at how operators work. Because we are doing a bit of calculation, we are looking at arithmetic operators, right? So I'm going to start with M equal to, right? So now I'm looking for M, our monthly payment. I'm going to say from the formula we have, if you're looking at your slide, you will see that this formula is M equal to L times I times 1 plus I multiplied by N, all divided by 1 plus I multiplied by N minus 1. Now, know that Python has, just like mathematics, it has rules in performing arithmetic calculation. So you start with what is in your parentheses, what is in your bracket. Then you go to your exponents, you go to your division, you go to your multiplication, just like we have in mathematics. So we're going to start. Now, everything divides everything, like the first part divides the second part. So I'm going to start with my L. My L now multiplies. So when I do this, I'm going to explain all the Python operators before I even run the code. So my N multiplies, my L multiplies my I, okay, my I, which is multiplying 1 plus my I again, right? And then close the bracket. Now this is multiplying N times N. Okay. Now let's see if we're correct. So L multiplies everything in this bracket. Good. L is multiplying everything. So I'm going to close this bracket. Now remember that your bracket has to be equal on both sides. So I have first one, second one, third one, fourth one. It has to be even. So I'm going to now divide everything by, if you look at what we have here, we have everything in brackets in the numerator. So I'm going to do this, divide my 1 plus my I, which is in bracket. Now what is in bracket multiplies N minus 1, good, which is also in bracket. So we have equal bracket on both sides. So now this is my logic. I've done the logic. So I'm going to now try to view my result. In view my result, all I want to know is my M. Simple. So I'm going to say,
You don't have equal brackets, so
okay, let's count. On the numerator, we have 1, this one, 2, 3, and 4, right? Here we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's equal. Thank you. All right. So it's the M I'm looking for. So I want to view it in my console. So I'm going to do print M. Basically, I'm supposed to do M. But I'll use it to explain something else for you. There's something called formatted strings in Python. It's indicated by F. So I'll do F. In quotes, I'll say enter. Sorry. Okay. Your monthly payment is, so now since it's in formatted string, my variable M would be stored here, right? And then I will now close with this and I'm done, right? So let me quickly explain all I've done. So before I run this code, let me explain operators. Now, the arithmetic operators are the multiplication, the division, the addition, the subtraction, exponent, and modulo, right? Now, the multiplication is represented by asterisk, right? The division is represented by a forward slash. The addition is represented by the regular addition we know. The subtraction is still the same subtraction we know, which is the hyphen. The exponent, which is raised to the power of something, is represented by double asterisk, double. The modulo is represented by this percentage sign. So these are the arithmetic operators we have. Now, if you look at our logic, our calculation, we have the multiplication operator in action, we have the addition operator in action, we have the division operator in action, and we have the subtraction operator in action. So these are the operators. It's in the slide. If you go through the slide, it's all there. So let's move forward. All right. So now this is what I have. So I want to get my monthly payment. I want to get my monthly payment. So I will save this code and run. Oh, sorry, there was a mistake somewhere. Okay, now see the mistake here. Our brackets are not complete here. Supposed to be double because I have double here. So here, yeah, exactly. Sorry about that. So I'm going to save this and then I'll run. Good. So now in our console, in our shell, our results pane, we are seeing that it's saying enter your loan amount. Right. Okay. Enter your loan amount. Sorry. Now I took a loan of 200 naira, right? For how long did the loan last? I took it for about 4 years. And then now I already know that. Remember that we've already declared our interest as 5%. So automatically it knows that. So if I hit enter, okay, hold on, there's a bit of a mistake here. Float is more callable. Okay, that I think I know why. So let's change these to integer. Please mute mic.
Please now. Hello? Hello, Chief.
Please mute your mic.
Okay, let me tell mommy to call you because I'm about entering a meeting for 8 o'clock.
Please mute your mic if you're the one on call. Okay. Okay, so let's see. All right, I think we can proceed. All right, so let's save this and let's run. All right, so we have 200 and it was for about 4 years. Hold on. Loads is not callable. Hold on. Okay, let's do this. Let's do floats this let's say inputs enter the interest rates. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Let's cover this one. All right. So let's proceed. I run. So, okay. Okay. So I entered 200 and my interest rate was 0.05 and then the duration was for 4 years. Hmm. 80 float object is not callable. Okay. Let's see. 80.
That interest rate, I think there should be a column there before the 0.05.
Yes, there should be. I should format that. Okay. Let's see. 100 and 0.05 and 4. See, we have a problem. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let's run this. 200. Okay, I think the problem is from our logic. Let's see.
The I think after the M, I think there should be that place
Yeah, not
before the equal sign. Yeah.
that's actually not the reason, but
When you look at the
Yes. Let's try
formula,
that.
that n, the n, there's supposed to be a bracket after after the asterisks. There's supposed to be a bracket before the n, open bracket before the n, and a closed bracket at the end of the one, the minus one.
this, yeah, this, yes, this should work like this. Okay, let's see.
It's
Okay,
not complete.
okay, it's complete.
The, no, the
Three.
numerator bracket is not complete.
It's complete. We have three here. We have three here. Okay.
I think you are good to go.
Number five. And then we have four. Let's see. Okay. The problem is from, let me take out this road and this, see, and see integer. Okay. So 200 loan amount 0.0. Okay. Okay. So four. There's, let's run this in command prompt.
I think there should be an asterisk after. Oh, you moved it. There should be an asterisk. Hello.
Yeah.
So after the second I, after the first I before the bracket in the formula,
So we have I here,
the
and
second
then
one,
oh yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
yes,
Okay, good.
exactly.
Yes, this is our problem. Thanks for pointing that out. Let's see. And then oh, good. All right, that's our problem. Yeah, we miss this I here. Is everybody following up? Are we following?
I can't see your screen again. Oh.
But can you see it now?
We can see it.
No,
Can you
I'm
see the
only
screen?
seeing
Yes, Jude,
G.
I can see your screen.
All right.
I can see your screen.
All right. So when I do 200 and then I do 0.05, then I do 4. So I get the monthly payment. So this is the monthly payment that please mute your microphone. Okay. So this is the monthly payment that the person has to pay. Now the mistake was from here. We did not put that operator, the multiplication operator, right? So you can see that these little issues can cause big problems for us. So now what I wanted to explain was the formatted string. So um if I do F this, then your monthly sorry monthly payment is, then I can now do this, format this string, and when I do this or with this, and then close with this, and then I run. So when I run, I have loan amount 200. I have the interest rate as 0.05, and I have the duration as 4. So you have your monthly payment is 13.333. So that's what formatted string does. This F here, that's how it's declared, so that you can format your result. So now this is a bit of a demonstration about how operators work. Do we have any question or any confusion about what?
Yes. Now
Okay.
that we know the error that was there, can we now save the I as 0.05
Yes, we
instead
can
of
do that. So let's try that and see. You can do 0.05, sorry, 0.05, run your code, and then you have your loan amount as 200. You already have 0.05, so your duration is 4 years. You get the same result. Are we clear? Okay. So that's it for a bit of a demonstration about um, Python operators, arithmetic operators. Now, the comparison operators would really work when we're looking at conditional statement. So that will be our next class. I don't want to push us ahead of what we're going to do. So that's what we look at conditional operators. Now, these comparison operators, rather. Now, these comparison operators are the likes of equality, equal to, which is seen as double assignment operator. Now, know that equality in Python does not mean one equal to sign. It's double equal to. That's how you know equality in Python. This is one of the comparison operators. Another one is not equal to, which is as exclamation and equal to. This means not equal to. The next one is greater than this. The next one is less than. The next one is less than or equal to. Greater than or equal to, rather. The next one is less than or equal to. So these are the popular comparison operators that we have. Then the last class of operators is logical operators. Now, the logical operators are the likes of the and, the or, the not, and so on and so forth. Now, these comparison operators, will look at them very well in our conditional statement when we're looking at if statement. So that's it. Now, to briefly summarize what we've done, we're going to look at um, one last problem. The problem is a way to look at, let's look at a bit of an interactive, let's be something that calculates values for us, right? Let's play around with some of the operators. So I'm going
Sorry, sorry, I have one question.
yes,
That's the parts where we are printing the print bracket open F.
yes.
Can we take away the F and use a normal quotation mark? What will be the difference between if we use a quotation mark and when we're using this from this F
Okay, now,
formatting strings?
okay, it will work. Let me tell you how it will work. Let me simply just tell you how it will work. Let me demonstrate it for you. Right. Now, this is how it's going to work. Let me take this out. Okay. Are we paying attention? This is how it's going to work in this case. If I don't want to use the formatted string, if I take out the F, then I have to leave the quotation, right? But now the quotation would not include our variable, our output. So I'm going to have quotation stopping here, right? And then this will not be in curly braces. It's just going to be as M. This is how it will be. So when I save it and run, sorry, hold on. I should have this. Okay. So when I save and run, hold on. Okay, sorry. I'm supposed to separate this. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So we have 200. We have the duration 4 years. So this is what we have. Can you see the difference now? So you have, if you're not going to use the formatted string, your result should be as a string, but your output should be as a variable. So you're not going to put it in a curly brace. So that's the difference between formatting, using the formatted strings and not using formatted strings. So let me. Okay. Now I'll do this for both problems. So if I do print this, your monthly payment is, right? So I'm going to do this and then use comma. So comma separates a variable from a string, right? So when I do this, and then I save, then I run, I still have the same thing, 200, and then the duration 4, and I get the same thing. See that the results are the same, just a different approach. Okay, so that's it. Now, the last thing we are going to look at a demonstration when it comes to operators is let's play around how operators work, right? So let's look at a simple console-based calculator, right? So I'm going to comment this out so my program doesn't recognize, doesn't execute it. Okay. So I want to build a simple console-based interactive calculator that requires my user to take in value. If my user takes in a value, it will print the result of whatever calculation they want. So let's say we are looking at two variables, x, and in x we want him to put a float decimal value, and we're going to say input, like say enter your value, right? And then we're going to close with this. And then we need to say, sorry. Then the next value is y, which is floats, then input, sorry, enter.
So why are we making use of floats?
Okay, I'll explain that shortly. So now, mathematically by default, no number exists as a whole number. So basically what we do is we approximate, right? But now, what Python does is this. If I don't indicate float and I'm doing something like 2/5, normally 2/5 is supposed to give me 1/2 is supposed to give me 0.5. It's supposed to give me 0.5. But if I don't indicate float, it will cut out the remainder and give me just 0. So if I indicate float and then I perform an operation that has to do with 1/2, I'll get 0.5. Do you understand why we're using float? Do you? So did you get what I just did, what I explained?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now that's what we want. So the next thing, we want to perform simple calculations, right? We want our user to perform some addition, subtraction, division, right? So we need him to print this value. So we're going to say print, let's say, well, let's start with say product or multiplication. Let's say product, right? Which is so separated by a comma. It's now going to be x times y, right? Good. What we've done for product, we want to do for division. We're going to say print, say division, which is a comma x divided by y. I want to, if I want to do for addition, I will do for as many operators as I want. You can try that at your convenience. So when I save and run this code, oh sorry, it's supposed to be from here. Hold on, I forgot.
Your parenthesis is not complete.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this and this. Good. Thank you for pointing that out. All right. So run module. Now I have my first value. I want to do 1 and 2. So if I do 1 and then I enter my second value 2. So I have the product. Product of 1 and 2 is 2. The division is 0.5. Now let me demonstrate the question somebody asked. So if I do this as integer, so you see that Python will cut out the part that is not important. So if I do 1, then I do 2. So it takes out that decimal value. You see, we just have 2, and then we have 0.5 as our result of our division. So that's a way of demonstrating how now in one code we've looked at how we declare variables, how we request user inputs, how we print results, how we perform some operations, some mathematical operations, how we use formatted strings. I've also talked about how we can add comments to our code such that when you run it, the other part that you don't want to show would not be executed. We've also seen how to use two methods, the upper and lower. That's what we've been able to achieve today. When we meet on Tuesday, we would look at more interesting things like conditional statements, how we can work with lists, how we can work with if and else statements, how we can work with functions. Now that's where it becomes more interesting. These are all just basic things. that we've been playing around with. So it becomes more interesting when we start doing functions, if conditional statements and all that, modules and error handling. We'll cover all that. I'm going to try to explain it from the very basic level. So from what all the jargons I've said or I've talked about, if you have any question or any, ask now or send your question in the comment section in the meeting.
Uh, Thank you very much, our teacher. Please, my humble appeal. I don't know whether this this lecture is recorded as in on video. If it is, it will help some of us to look back. At the point we were lost, a person like me, at the point my network was bad, so I don't know. If you can get the video to go a long way. Thank you, sir.
Okay, it's recorded, and the last two classes I've uploaded the video on the YouTube channel and I've shared the link on the group chat. This one will be recorded. By the end of this class, in about 2 hours time, it should be ready. Then I would also upload it on or before tomorrow morning. So yes, you're going to get the record.
Thank you very much.
And my
Thank
code
you, sir.
for this class will also be shared in the Google Classroom. So I shared the link for the Google Classroom. I'm going to paste it again. I'm going to paste it here again. So you can all join the classroom. There, everything is uploaded, even on the WhatsApp group chat. If you're there too, I would also upload it. I'll attend to questions outside this class. So I'm trying to make it as basic because we don't have much time. So I'm trying to look at how we can cover or get the hang of Python, because you need basic understanding of Python to build things like to work with machine learning, right? That's kind of like the goal, right? You want to use Python to build good AI models, machine learning models, how to build rich and scalable web apps, how to develop interesting projects, how to work with data, big data, and all that. So that's the foundation is Python. So that's what we're trying to do here. But as we progress, we would work on more tasks. What I'm going to be doing is project based, task based. I would send a slide. I won't be reading a slide for you. We're going to work with examples, right? Then I will draw tasks for you since we have the whole of the weekend till Tuesday. I'm going to drop tasks that you can do and some notes that you can do on the Google Classroom. I'll also drop it on the WhatsApp group. So at your own leisure, you can practice. Sorry, I didn't demonstrate how to do for those of us using Visual Studio Code. I didn't demonstrate it. For those of us in Sublime Text, if I look at this code and then so let me share my screen a bit so that you see what I'm talking about. Okay, if you're raising your hand, please ask your question. Okay. Mr. Wisdom, ask your question. Okay, I don't think you have any question.
The question I wanted to ask was when I was not seeing the screen, so
Okay, it's
I
okay.
finally.
It's all right. I saw your hand up. That was why. It's okay. So the code for this class, I'll send it. More information and more practice areas, I'll also send them. Thank you for joining the class. The next class for data analysis has already started. So if you're in that class, you can join. Thank you very much and have a wonderful weekend. And please don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube platform and all our social
Substitute is the
media.
next class.
Tuesday.
Okay, the next class is on Tuesday by 7 p.m. same time. So